Hey, this is Pamela Riemenschneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. Greg, we are on a countdown. Only a few more days left. A lot of people are getting ready to leave this weekend to head to Orlando for the big show, the Global Fresh Produce and Floral show. Let's come up with something catchy for that. for,
The big show's okay.
The big show. I mean, didn't NGA call itself that for a while? But I mean, there
It's
was a
not.
catchy word for it. Fresh Summit,
You're gonna have to,
Fresh Summit,
you're gonna call
Fresh
yourself
Formation,
something. Yeah, that's awesome.
Vintage.
Retro. That was like a lifetime ago, and that was the previous show.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I feel like I should wear but I would be that guy wearing. It would be like, would it be the equivalent of wearing like a Nirvana shirt to a Foo Fighter show or something like that? I don't know.
And it's not that bad. I mean, it's like wearing the retro jersey to your home team's new team and new jerseys and stuff. I mean, we're all watching the baseball playoffs. There's some awesome retro jerseys in the crowd. I mean, I saw some Tony Gwynn's and John Kruk's in the San Diego Philadelphia series. And Kruk played for both teams.
I mean, there you go. I've been watching the MLS playoffs because my team made it past the first round. So that's pretty exciting for Austin FC, a second-year team to actually advance in the playoffs. For us, we kind of laid a stinker last year, so to see this year's success was pretty great. But back to the produce show. What do you want to bet everyone sweated a little bit when Hurricane Ian went through Florida? Because last year's show was, kind of forestalled by a hurricane going through New Orleans. I'm sure everyone was a little nervous about how that was all going to turn out, but it
Oh,
looks
no
like
doubt.
everyone I have the volume and quality of emails that we've been getting over the last 2 weeks and even just intensifying this week tells me that people are definitely excited.
It's going to be the I think the biggest event ever in the industry because just some of the other events, either IFPA or some of the others, they've been really big and they've been well attended and they've been very crowded for longer periods of time than they used to be. I just have a feeling I have a feeling it's going to be huge. It's going to feel bigger than ever before, but I don't know that it's going to feel that different than previous Fresh Summits, which isn't a bad thing. It was always a huge, big event, and you had to manage it properly or you got swallowed up.
Right. Right. I agree with you there that you got to manage your time and you've got to manage your resources. I'm getting so many requests for interviews that I have to remind folks that it's like, well, I have to schedule my day because I can't be spending the entire day walking back and forth between shows. Just give me a time frame to stop by. And there's even, but speaking of, there's a new thing that this year that they're doing. The business solutions have a mini expo on Thursday, and Blue Book will be represented there. So if you have any questions about Blue Book, of course, stop by and see our folks there. We have a huge representation going to this show, and I have a feeling a lot of brands are going to have a lot of people, a lot of new products. I'm really looking forward to new products just from the soft launches I've seen at shows, even this summer. I have a feeling, and I'm starting to see ads, like targeted ads in all my social media. Taylor Farms has a street corn salad coming out. That looks cool. Man, have you seen what Man has been doing lately? They've got new veggie noodles back. Veggie noodles are back. So I mean, we're going to see a lot of new products, not a lot of new packaging, a lot of new labels, collaborations. I'm excited. And then, of course, we're also going to be taking notes on, now what? How did this work out? How is the merged organization working out for exhibitors, for the industry? So a lot of stuff to take in next week.
Yeah, we'll be doing this video on site, probably
Yeah,
more than one, I suspect.
everyone who hasn't been to a show yet or hasn't seen people in a while, we haven't seen each other in 2.5 years, almost 3 years. Brace yourself for the I haven't seen you in so long conversation, because it's coming and there'll be a certain amount of that. Have a speech prepared for when you are chit-chatting on the show floor and you got to get moving. Be like, hey, it's great seeing you. I'll follow up with you, but I gotta go because we can't spend all of our time standing around talking about the last 2.5 years. We got to talk about what's next and what's moving forward. So there's my tiny little like mom speech for people who may, like myself, find ourselves chit-chatting a little too much. I'd love to see you, but I gotta get all the news while I'm there. So
I think the time is going to go fast.
yes, I think it will too.
That feeling.
That's my little pep talk to myself. But speaking of veggie noodles, we have the Whole Foods food trends for 2023. This is always for me the first big food trends right out of the box. They always move it earlier and earlier every year, and you look forward in October. And dates were the only fresh produce item that got a specific mention, but of course it was like date ingredients as well. But the date industry has to be super happy about that. Anything that's loosely related to what's on this list has to be super happy about the SEO bump and the news bump that they're going to get over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, produce and pasta is not really new, but they're putting a new twist on it. I think I always like this list always makes me laugh because some of this stuff is just so outrageous. I mean, even Whole Food shoppers, some of this stuff is too pretentious for them. But you got to be out there. And then normal people who shop at Kroger's and Walmart's and Aldi's can take some of these ideas and yeah, I'm not really gonna do yop on, but this produce pasta thing, like I can incorporate that. I mean, it's the whole idea of incorporating more fruits and vegetables into the dishes you're already doing is such a great concept. And some of this stuff does get toward that. And so in that way, it's very useful.
Yeah, the one that is, I mean, very achievable for a lot of us is the retro remix mac and cheese and pizza bites. Yeah, old school cereal. I mean,
Fruity
okay.
Pebbles has come back to my house, and I'm not eating it.
You know, my kid actually saw Count Chocula at the store the other day and was like, wow, what's that? And I was like, oh, yeah, you've never had Count Chocula, but I ate a ton of that in college.
That is candy for breakfast. But it has all the trends are ways to modernize classic dishes. And produce sneaks into some of those, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure.
There are so many things I've found that you can mix into mac and cheese that work really well. I mean, jalapenos and mac and cheese, I had it at a restaurant once. I was like, that doesn't seem that hard.
That's
I
brand
can
new
hardly eat it
information.
without it now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I mix all kinds of stuff in mac and cheese. I moved way past my childhood comfort food of tuna and peas in mac and cheese, and now I do like smoked salmon and all kinds of stuff in there. And fruits and vegetables can totally fit into that kind of stuff.
So I guess the bottom line is we recommend our readers check out this list, have a couple chuckles, say, I don't think kelp is a produce item, but then look at ways that you can fit into some of these because there are lots of ways to fit into some of these.
Yep, that's for sure. One more thing this week. Remember last week when I said when Kroger and Albertsons announced that they were going to, well, it was a rumor when we filmed last week and it became the truth the next morning. And I said, the first thing that's going to happen is the FTC is going to be like, I'm going to stop you right there. It wasn't the FTC. It was actually lawmakers. And they have already started the process to do some hearings. From what I'm reading, I love to cast a wide net and see what's going on. A lot of the Wall Street oriented publications that I'm reading say that Kroger's plan to spin off an estimated 375 stores is going to help their argument with the FTC. I also took a look at the Retail Wire Brain Trust discussions, and a lot of those retail type folks are like, yeah, I don't know if it's going to get by regulatory stuff here. So Wall Street says perhaps because they've already preemptively said we're going to spin off this many stores. But retail folks are like, yeah, they're too similar. And I tried as hard as I could to find a map to show the overlap. And I found 2 maps of divisions. And you can see some areas where they do obviously overlap, but Albertsons isn't as strong in the middle East Coast, like not quite all the way up into the East Coast up in the Northeast. And Kroger is not as strong out there way far west. So there are some areas where they don't quite overlap.
No, and I think we also have to give some credit to Kroger for anticipating this. They certainly knew that there would be antitrust issues, and you have to assume they've prepared for this and they've come up with a plan. You don't announce a deal like this and not expect that you'll be dealing with regulators and have to explain yourself and have to explain how it's not going to be monopolistic. And I can't wait to hear their arguments, because I think they're very likely to be legitimate, and they can also create more opportunities in the market by doing this. I mean, as they get more efficient with this deal, if it goes forward, it'll cause competitors to have to match them, and that's a
Yeah.
good thing.
Well,
That's a good thing for consumers. That's a good thing for suppliers.
this reminds me of one of the first big mergers that I covered as a retail reporter was when Whole Foods bought Wild Oats. And if you remember way back in the day, that was a long, drawn out, contentious FTC fight. I mean, every week there was another update in that, and a lot of griping, a lot of talking about categorizing the premium natural foods, the kind of small format type store that the FTC believed that Whole Foods would be cannibalizing basically. And what happened right after that? Almost everyone from Wild Oats spun off into Sprouts, Sunflower, Fresh Time, all of this entire new category of stores. When we look at Kroger, though, I mean, Kroger and Albertsons are so similar that I don't think that you could just immediately go, okay, well, we're going to go start our own new store and create that where that vacuum was and create that retailer out there, because they're such established supermarkets. They're so similar. So for me, that's where I see the FTC going. Maybe they will go back to some of this precedent with Whole Foods and Wild Oats and go, see, this is what happened afterward. This was a very differentiated category. The leadership went off and spun off a new company that has been very successful in the grocery industry. How are you going to be able to do that here? So that's what
I think some of their argument also is going to be, this isn't just doing it for retail purposes. This is capitalizing on some of the technology investment and kind of looking at retail in a new way with automation and supplying through these hubs, and really kind of rethinking this market with fewer people involved, because there are fewer people to be had. And so a lot of this stuff, I mean, stuff is moving quickly. I swear, I went into Aldi this week and they took out half their registers and put in self-check at Aldi, and everyone in the store, including the workers, like, this is so new and weird. It's like, I was ready to use it, but I had 80 items in my cart. But now all of a sudden that store becomes a quick grab, because before you had to take your chances that you get stuck in a long line. And now there's 6 of these automatic things. I can go in there for 2 things and be in there in less than a minute. So we're talking about how quickly things can change. I think it is certainly possible, if this goes through, that the Kroger Albertsons type store experience will be a lot different, and it'll force competitors to determine whether or not they want to compete on that level or the traditional way, because they're not. It wouldn't make sense for them just to be a bigger version of themselves and not doing anything different. That's not market differentiation.
Right, that's for sure. Self-checkout at Aldi, I had not heard that, and you're blowing my mind here, because when I think of checkout at Aldi, I think of, yes, the gamble. Are you going to get behind the family that's got 12 kids and 2 flats of canned corn, or are you while you're standing there with like 4 things? That can definitely change the dynamic of an Aldi shopper for sure. I'm gonna have to
turn that place into a convenience store.
Right.
How
And that was
convenient
not
is
what it
that?
was. Yeah.
Oh, you can go through so fast now.
I'm gonna have to make my way to the Aldi that's a half an hour away from my house and see if we've got that yet. But they're brand new. It was built a year ago, so who knows if it's there yet. But Before I go off on that tangent, that's it for this week. We will see you next week in Orlando at the Global Fresh Produce and Floral Show. And so if you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up, or find me next week and I will get you hooked up.
And we will be wearing snazzy Blue Book outfits, I'm sure, most of the time.
Yeah.
Blue or white, look for that logo.